Hey class, I thought I'd take a few minutes to run through some basics with you for the Seminar in Leadership, Management 7135. I'm Fred Elrich and I'll be facilitating our time together over the next 15 weeks or so. So again, there were just a few things that I wanted to go through, but before I do that, let me give you a little bit of my background. You'll see in the syllabus, which I urge you to read and know and understand, because you'll be held to the things that are contained in it. That's why we have those things. But you'll notice that there's a link to my LinkedIn page, which will give you a broader background of some of the things that I've been doing. But what's germane to this course is that I come from a business background. I spent over a quarter of a century in the paper business. And so like a lot of you out there in the for-profit world. And so I come at this course from, I guess, informed from that type of experience, but even more so as it relates to this course. The other thing that I do for the university, in addition to this course, is professionally continue education. I develop and deliver leadership and other topics like project management, change management, strategy, those types of things. And I've done that for the last 6 years, ever since I finished my doctorate. And so the materials that we use, I've had a chance to weed through some things, a lot of them that I hold pretty dear, and that gets to where we are in this course. The 5 texts that we're going to be using are books that I've had various levels of experience with, but that I've found that are very valuable. Since this is your only leadership experience in the MBA program, and by nature MBA programs are more management oriented, it's nice that we've got at least some time in here to look at the leadership aspects of that. So the first one that we're going to be getting into, and I'll urge you to make sure that you've got your books very quickly because we're going to hit the ground running, is Emotional Intelligence 2.0. This was emotional intelligence, a topic that's been around for a while. It's always had good traction, but it's getting even more. And actually, I think this book is going to do a lot to help drive the concepts of emotional intelligence into the business place. And I think you'll find by the end of the semester is that it's a really valuable resource for making ourselves more effective with people. So I guess you really only need to pay attention to this if you interact with people in your business lives, and for that matter, your personal lives. One of the things that I'll try to stress as we go through the semester is that obviously we develop and we exercise our leadership characteristics through a lot of different ways and a lot of different venues, and that means even outside of work, whether it's in some of your organizations or most certainly I find that the most intriguing leadership lab there is at home. So you'll have an opportunity to practice the kinds of things that we're going to talk about, put into place some concepts, and do it in a variety of venues. The next book that we're going to get into, and while I'm thinking about it, some of you are probably going to get into some of this material and think, well, but I'm not really formally in charge of folks. Leader or manager isn't in my title. As you'll see later in the semester when we get to John Maxwell's 360 Leadership, we're called to lead from any place in the organization. And we certainly don't have to have boss after our name to demonstrate good leadership principles, to interact and influence others just based on who we are and what we want for ourselves in the organization. Along those very lines, one piece of paper, this is a book that's really going to follow us through the whole semester, and we'll do a capstone event at the end. The thrust of this is developing a set of personal leadership maxims that help drive and guide our behavior. Very powerful. I've seen this done in a couple of organizations, and it's really superb. So we'll get heavily into that. By the way, you'll notice that the course is broken up into 3 sections: personal leadership, team leadership, and organizational leadership. And so we're going to kick off the personal leadership with those 2 topics, as well as one other. And it's from the Gallup organization called Strengths-Based Leadership. Some of you may have taken StrengthsFinder. This is a much broader, more in-depth, and very personal version of that. Gallup shares a lot of their research, and I think you're going to find some really powerful things in here that'll help shape your concept and your approach to leadership, which we will again manifest ourselves in the maxims that we write. As we move into team leadership, probably one of the ones that people see the most because it's so powerful is Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. This is actually written as a fable, and so it's a pretty easy read, but the insights and the model of the 5 dysfunctions of a team, I think you're going to find ring very true for you no matter which organization you work with. And so it's a great book. As we go through the team and then into organizational leadership, the book we'll spend the most time in, although we'll revisit some of these others, is John Maxwell 360 Workbook. There is a regular book, but you're to be using the workbook because we're going to work through some of these things. John Maxwell, as 360 might imply, is that we have an opportunity to lead across, down, and up. And so in an organization, what are the things that we do to develop our influence, regardless of our title, regardless of our position, regardless of how long we've been with an organization, to exert influence in a positive way? Let me just talk briefly about some of the things that we'll be doing. Each week, we're obviously going to be doing some reading. There'll be some places where you'll be doing an assessment, and you'll be posting all of these things out into a Dropbox. And also one of the things at the end of each of the three modules, you're going to do a 3 to 4 page reflection paper. There's going to be a lot more detail about that later, but I want to give you a heads up where you're going to look at all the material that you exposed yourself to during that module and go back and revisit your maxims so that that you can end up with at the end of the semester, a very robust set of personal leadership maxims that are yours, that are very important to you, and that are shaped around the concepts of team, personal team, and organizational leadership. So that's kind of where we're going with that. And so at the end of each of those 3 modules, you'll be submitting a paper. And then also each week, we'll have a brief discussion. Again, there's going to be more details about how that goes. But for example, the course kicks off on Monday, August the 22nd. By the following Monday at midnight, you will have to have had your original post posted out on the discussion. By the Monday following that, which will be in September, you will have to read and respond to 3 members in your discussion group. Give them good feedback. And I'm going to ask that you don't respond to the same 3 people week after week. Try to mix it up, get to know the people in your group. Group should be about 10 in a discussion group. So those are just some of the quick basics that I wanted to go over with you. I've included some new books. The format is very different, so I'm really intrigued to see how you enjoy this. But one thing I can promise you is that if you apply yourself to this material and internalize it and make it yours, even before the end of the course, you're going to find yourself being a more effective leader, regardless of your role or position. But that certainly over time, if you continue to embrace the concepts that you're going to get exposed to, you're going to find that leading is something that you enjoy. It's something that gives you a lot of meaning, but more importantly, leading is something that adds value to the people around you. So that's what we're about. We've only got 1 semester to get it done, but if you lean into it, I think you'll find that it's going to be incredibly rewarding. So thanks, and let's get started.